What the is Aviva doing? This is not the behavior I want in my future wife, much less my girlfriend right now. Like, come on.
I'm not looking for a sugar daddy, and I'm not a sugar baby. I got my own money. I will never ask you for anything.
See, this type of attitude, I could have found this in the States. I didn't have to come all the way to Madagascar.
So why did you come?
Because I thought you were different.
Last episode set the stage for what might be the most chaotic week yet. Rick has been on edge, questioning everything Trisha does, and honestly, it's exhausting to watch. He's acting like every small comment is a secret test of loyalty, and you can see how his paranoia has become almost automatic. Every innocent joke, every little suggestion turns into a lecture or a defensive outburst. Meanwhile, Stig is doing his own thing, ego in overdrive, taking every moment as a chance to assert dominance, show off, and somehow prove that he's untouchable. You've seen it before. The bigger the confidence, the more fragile the underlying insecurity. Fast forward to today, and the sparks are flying before the plane even lands. Trisha makes a light joke about buying bikinis on their beach getaway. That's it. Nothing shady, nothing manipulative, just a casual comment about shopping. You'd think a small, flirty suggestion wouldn't trigger a meltdown, right? But Rick sees dollar signs and danger everywhere. He immediately flips, accusing Trisha of being some kind of gold digger, as if asking for swimwear is a life-altering betrayal. You can almost hear the mental checklist running. She asked for a bikini, she must want a car next, or my life savings. At the same time, Aviva is in her own emotional minefield. She asked Stig to skip a song tied to his past fling, something that made her uncomfortable. Seems reasonable, right? But Stig treats it like she's challenging his entire career, like one request could topple his identity. He insists he can't be told what to perform, and in the same breath flaunts the memory of a cheating escapade as if to remind everyone that he's the star here. You can already feel the tension cutting through the room. The women are calm, loyal, and actually trying to navigate these volatile personalities. Trisha keeps it light, playful even. Aviva tries to negotiate, to find a middle ground, but both men escalate everything unnecessarily. It's wild to watch normal behavior get twisted into conflict. You know what I mean? Here's the irony. The women are bending over backward to maintain harmony, while Rick and Stig are turning every gesture into a battlefield. Trisha isn't asking for a mansion. Aviva isn't trying to rewrite history. They're asking for respect, consideration, and a little bit of understanding. And yet, the reactions are disproportionate, explosive, and at times completely absurd. You can't help but wonder if these men realize how much damage they're doing in the name of control and pride. And just when you think the scene might calm down, the past sneaks back in. Rick's old relationship wounds, money worries, and deep-seated trust issues start creeping into every word. Stig's ego, tied to prideful displays and past escapades, begins to clash with Aviva's boundaries in ways that could explode at any moment. I bet you didn't see that coming when the trip started as a simple romantic getaway. But wait till you see how Rick's past comes crawling into this tiny beach trip, because the smallest comment about bikinis is about to pull up every ghost from his old relationships, and you can already feel the tension thickening like storm clouds. Rick's face went from casual to furious in seconds. All Trisha did was joke about buying a few bikinis, and suddenly he's calculating like it's a financial audit. You can see it in his eyes. Every past relationship he's had, every time he felt taken advantage of, it's flashing like a warning sign. Trisha isn't even asking for more than a few pieces of swimwear, but to Rick, it's a test of loyalty, a trap he's convinced is set for him. He weaponizes his generosity. He's already been paying her rent, but instead of it being a gesture of love, it's thrown back in her face as proof she's ungrateful. If you were in Trisha's shoes, what would you do? Her response is calm, measured, almost pleading. I'm not a sugar baby. I have my own money. I will never ask you for anything. And yet, Rick sees it as defiance, as if she's challenging him, testing the limits of his control. The irony is brutal. He claims love, but his reaction is defensive, paranoid, almost accusatory. He is the classic example of someone so afraid of repeating past mistakes that he creates the very problem he fears. Every little joke becomes a battlefront, and Trisha, despite her loyalty, ends up on the defensive. They claim love but act like their partners are enemies. Meanwhile, Aviva is navigating her own tightrope. She asks Stig to skip the song about his past fling. It's a small request, grounded in self-respect and emotional boundaries, and yet Stig treats it like she just insulted his career. He's performing, yes, but his performance isn't just about music. It's a statement of ego, pride, and unresolved history. Aviva tries to reason with him to explain why the song hurts, but Stig deflects, turning it into a debate about control rather than a discussion about feelings. And just when it looks like peace is possible, boom. He's flaunting the story on stage anyway, dancing with other women, all while Aviva is sitting there trying not to break. The tension is electric. Rick and Stig are mirrors in a way. One hides behind financial control, the other behind ego and performance. Both are projecting past wounds onto their present partners. Trisha is being punished for a joke. Aviva is being punished for asking a reasonable request. You can see it clearly. The women are trying to create harmony, while the men are fighting ghosts from old relationships. Every reaction has a cause rooted in fear, not reality. Rick's paranoia isn't random, it's a pattern he's repeated before. Past financial struggles, past betrayals, a history of relationships ending over perceived inadequacies, these feed a constant alert system. And now, even the slightest comment about bikinis triggers that alarm. He wants control, but he mistakes control for security, and the more he tries to assert it, the further Trisha drifts away emotionally. They claim love, but act like their partners are enemies. Stig's jealousy operates differently, but achieves a similar effect. His ego is fueled by attention, by admiration, by proving he's untouchable. Aviva's boundaries threaten that image, so he pushes back, not in a calm, negotiated way, but with deflection, humor, and sometimes outright defiance. Every interaction is layered with mixed signals. One moment he reassures her, the next, he flaunts behavior he knows makes her uncomfortable. The result? Aviva questions herself, wondering if she's too sensitive or overreacting, even though she's doing nothing wrong. And the pattern repeats. Rick's suspicion mirrors his ex-wife's supposed expectations. Stig's performance mirrors his past indiscretions. Trisha and Aviva are grounded in the present, their loyalty evident, yet every small action is misread, reframed as a threat. You start to realize that this isn't just about bikinis or a song, it's about control, insecurity, and unresolved trauma manifesting in ways that punish the very people they love. Then comes the social pressure element. Aviva sees Stig surrounded by fans, all eyes on him, and she knows that he craves that attention. Her request threatens the image he wants to project. Rick, on the other hand, can't escape his internal metrics of success and failure in relationships. He calculates and overanalyzes. Both men, in different ways, are so focused on protecting themselves from imagined threats that they create real emotional damage. They claim love, but act like their partners are enemies. And just when you think there's a break, a moment to breathe, Rick drops another comment about past relationships, past betrayals, past financial obligations. Stig throws a sly comment or a sarcastic smile during a performance. Trisha and Aviva absorb it all, their patience tested, their trust strained, and the tension escalates further. You can see the narrative building, like a powder keg. One more small spark, A joke, a glance, a comment, and everything could blow up. At the core of it, these men are trapped by their own histories. Their partners are not the enemy, yet every behavior is reframed as a threat. Trisha's innocence is mistaken for manipulation. Aviva's request is twisted into a challenge. And the viewer feels the absurdity, the injustice, and the suspense. They claim love, but act like their partners are enemies. What happens next isn't predictable. Will Rick recognize the disconnect and step back, or will he spiral further into his own fear? Will Stig respect Aviva's boundaries, or will his pride and ego overrule empathy? Every choice now has consequences, and the pressure cooker is just warming up. By the end of this beach trip, nothing will feel normal again, and the audience is left on the edge, wondering which past pattern will explode first. The moment Rick blew up over a simple bikini joke didn't just shock Trisha, it set social media on fire. Clips started circulating, fans dissecting every word, every eye roll, every tense pause. And the reactions are wild. Some people can't believe he overreacted again, like history repeating itself in high definition. Others are rooting for Trisha, applauding her for keeping her cool, while Rick spiraled over nothing more than a few pieces of swimwear. You scroll through the comments and it's a mix of outrage, disbelief, and sympathy, and it makes you wonder, how can one tiny comment trigger this much drama? Fans are calling it classic insecurity, but the irony is brutal. He claims love, yet acts like his partner is out to sabotage him. Meanwhile, Aviva's situation with Stig is getting just as much chatter online. Clips of him performing the Vicky song while dancing with other women? People are shaking their heads, some tagging friends saying, "Look at this ego in action." Fans empathize with Aviva, praising her for standing her ground, for asking something so reasonable, a simple request to skip one song. Social media is filled with debates. Was Stig justified as a performer, or is this a blatant disregard for his girlfriend's feelings? You see the divide immediately. Some say Aviva should have expected this, others insist Stig crossed the line completely. And the tension in the comments mirrors the tension in the hotel room itself. The audience is clearly connecting the dots between past behavior and present drama. Rick's paranoia isn't random, it's a recurring theme. Fans point out the history, the previous episodes, the moments when a small trigger set off a massive fight. Every comment reinforces the narrative. Trisha is loyal, reasonable, and calm, yet Rick interprets her jokes and questions as attacks. Aviva is asking for respect, not control, yet Stig treats it like a challenge to his ego. And as viewers, we can't help but notice the pattern repeating itself, almost like watching a slow-motion crash. People online are asking themselves the same questions we are. Would you stand your ground like Trisha? How would you react if your partner accused you of ulterior motives over something as innocent as bikinis? Could you maintain composure if your partner flaunted a song about cheating, knowing it would hurt you, and refused to change course? The engagement is intense because these aren't just TV moments, they're emotionally relatable. Fans project themselves into these scenarios, debating, arguing, and empathizing as if they were sitting in the hotel room with Trisha or Aviva. And it doesn't stop there. Social media highlights another layer, the echoes of past trauma. Rick's comments about previous relationships, financial stress, and trust issues have triggered a flood of online analysis. People are tagging friends, sharing clips, dissecting his behavior like a case study. Fans who have seen the show from the beginning are calling out patterns. Here's Rick, worried about gold digging again. There's Stig, flaunting old indiscretions and turning them into spectacle. Every past event comes back to haunt them in real time. Aviva's experience is similarly dissected. Fans sympathize with her struggle between wanting to support her partner's career and protecting her emotional space. There's even debate over boundaries in public versus private settings, all sparked by that one song, one performance, one evening. And the discussion keeps looping back to the earlier setups we've seen: the bikini joke, the Vicky song, the ghosts of past trauma. It's all connected, and the audience is noticing. Engagement spikes when fans debate accountability versus ego. Was Rick justified in feeling insecure, or was this classic overreaction? Was Stig's refusal to skip the song a moment of personal expression, or a deliberate disregard for Aviva's feelings? And fans keep asking, how long can Trisha and Aviva tolerate this before standing firm, or before the men's patterns finally push them too far? Online chatter also keeps the tension alive. Memes, GIFs, reaction videos, all reinforcing the drama and keeping viewers invested. It's not just the couples who are tense, the audience feels it too. Every post, every comment, every clip reinforces the question: when will the next explosion happen? When will the hidden frustrations finally surface and create a confrontation we cannot ignore? Fans are even weighing in on potential outcomes. Could Rick's insecurities finally break the relationship, or might he recognize the disconnect in time? Could Stig's ego finally implode if Aviva continues to assert her boundaries? Each post, each reaction fuels the suspense, keeping viewers engaged, sharing theories, and speculating about the next chapter. And just like the narrative on screen, the discussion online mirrors the uncertainty. Nothing feels resolved, and every small action could trigger a storm. Even those who aren't regular fans are drawn in by the pattern: loyalty versus insecurity, ego versus respect. People keep coming back to the same question: how long can these relationships survive when minor triggers are amplified into full-blown crises? And with every bikini comment, every song, every reaction, the audience is left waiting, wondering which moment will finally break the cycle. The social media response proves one thing clearly: the stakes are high, the emotions are real, and the consequences are coming. Fans are hooked, invested, and emotionally drained in the best way possible, because this isn't just TV drama, it's a study in behavior, boundaries, and how unresolved insecurities can ripple through every interaction. And as the conversations rage online, one thing is clear: the tension isn't going away anytime soon, and the next confrontation promises to be even more explosive. The question now lingers: will these patterns repeat, or is a major confession about to blow everything wide open? The tension had been simmering all day, but it didn't take much to push it over the edge. Rick's reaction to Trisha's bikini joke wasn't an isolated moment. It was the spark in a room already filled with combustible insecurities. Every glance, every laugh, every offhand comment now felt like a test. Trisha tried to keep things light, teasing about swimwear colors, but Rick's body language said it all: tight shoulders, clenched jaw, eyes darting as if she'd declared war. His voice, sharp and clipped, made a joke feel like an accusation. And just like that, a simple beach chat became a battlefield. You could see Trisha holding herself back, carefully choosing words, yet the air crackled with tension. Imagine being accused over something so minor. Would you stay calm, or would you snap too? Meanwhile, across town, Stig's performance had reignited a storm with Aviva. He took the stage, Vicky's song blaring through the speakers, and every fan cheering seemed to poke at the fragile trust she had. Aviva's face tightened with discomfort, her arms crossed, jaw set. When he danced with other women in plain sight, the look in her eyes said it all: hurt, disbelief, and quiet frustration. Yet he seemed oblivious, lost in his own world, defending ego over empathy. The subtle digs, the dismissive laughter at her discomfort, Everything stacked up, making one wonder if he even realized the emotional weight of his actions. And in a moment that should have been shared joy, the room was heavy with unspoken conflict. Could someone so self-assured completely miss the emotional signals of the person standing right in front of them? Back with Rick and Trisha, things escalated further when he brought up past financial disputes. I pay your rent, and now you're joking about bikinis? He snapped, as if the generosity he had already shown was a debt she owed him. Trisha's eyes widened, hurt flickering before she took a steadying breath. She reminded him calmly she wasn't asking for a handout, just joking around. But every word was interpreted as a subtle attack. His defensiveness revealed deeper anxieties, fear of inadequacy, worry about repeating past mistakes. Each interaction became a mirror, reflecting not what was real, but what he feared most. And as the minutes stretched, tension compounded into near physical discomfort. The room felt like it was shrinking around them. What happens when love feels like a pressure cooker waiting to blow? Stig's night spiraled similarly. Off-stage, the private aftermath was just as volatile. Aviva tried to explain how humiliated she felt, how the performance ignored her boundaries. Stig responded with half acknowledgement and passive defensiveness, shrugging off the real pain with jokes and technicalities about the show. Every attempt she made to clarify was met with excuses, yet his tone carried a subtle accusation, implying her feelings were overblown. The power dynamic was painfully clear: one partner's ego, one partner's restraint. It's hard not to empathize with Aviva, who gave him support, loyalty, and trust, only to have it met with disregard and selective acknowledgement. How much patience can someone have before even loyalty feels like it isn't enough? And then the small sparks collided. Rick's tension leaked into snide comments, defensive posturing, and interruptions. Stig's ego clashes manifested in a dismissive attitude and subtle belittling of Aviva's concerns. The converging pressures, financial worry, past trauma, public humiliation, perceived betrayal, all compounded. Minor miscommunications amplified, eyes rolled, tones rose, and what began as isolated moments became a tangled web of emotional misfires. The women, calm and reasonable, bore the brunt. Their loyalty became invisible armor. Every attempt at compromise was misread, every gesture of love twisted in perception. It's astonishing how small incidents can morph into emotional avalanches. Despite all this, there was a temporary lull. Rick offered a hesitant apology. Trisha nodded but kept her guard up, and Stig gave Aviva a brief acknowledgement of her feelings, if only to keep the peace. For a moment, the storm seemed contained, the air less suffocating. Yet every glance hinted at unresolved questions, unspoken insecurities lingering beneath the surface. Even with the temporary calm, the narrative threads from earlier, bikinis, the Vicky song, financial anxieties, past betrayals, were still simmering, just out of view. The sense of an impending explosion remained palpable, like the quiet before a thunderstorm. Will these fragile pauses hold, or is something bigger about to erupt? Even in these quieter moments, the stakes are clear. Trust is fragile, boundaries are tested, and patience is stretched. The cost of mismanaged emotions is visible, Trisha and Aviva carrying invisible weight, navigating arguments that feel disproportionate, staying rational while the men unravel. The juxtaposition is painful yet compelling: love, loyalty, and reason on one side, ego, insecurity, and past trauma on the other. And as the night wears on, every small gesture, every half smile, every sigh becomes loaded with potential consequence. Will they survive this trip, or is this the breaking point? By the end of this trip, one thing is crystal clear: Unresolved insecurities and past heartbreaks can turn even the smallest moments into emotional landmines. Rick's overreactions to Trisha's lighthearted joke about bikinis weren't really about bikinis at all. They were about fear, control, and a haunting sense of not being enough. Stig's insistence on performing a song that dredged up old affairs while Aviva watched wasn't just ego, it was a test, a projection of his unresolved past onto someone who was nothing like the women before her. Both men show how personal history can cloud judgment, turning love into suspicion and loyalty into tension. And the women, loyal, patient, and fair, end up paying the emotional price for behavior that has little to do with them. From a behavioral standpoint, there's a lot to unpack. Communication matters more than reactions, and boundaries aren't negotiable, they are essential. A joke can't carry the weight of years of trauma, and a request for emotional respect isn't an attack. Watching Trisha and Aviva navigate these volatile situations reminds us that maintaining clarity, empathy, and assertiveness is critical in any relationship, especially when past wounds try to hijack the present. There's a lesson in observing, not just reacting, and understanding that sometimes the conflict isn't personal, it's history playing out. But just when you think the storm might settle, the next episode promises that nothing stays quiet for long. Old secrets, unhealed pasts, and unspoken tensions are ready to surface in ways that could shift loyalties, expose hidden truths, and put trust back under the microscope. Will Rick finally confront what he's been carrying from past relationships, or will it push Trisha further away? Will Stig learn to balance ego and empathy, or will Aviva be forced to set firmer boundaries? The answers are coming, and nothing about these dynamics is predictable. If you thought tonight's drama was intense, buckle up. The next chapter promises fireworks that could change everything for both couples. Every gesture, every word, every silence matters, and when the past collides with the present, the fallout is impossible to ignore. You won't want to miss what happens when history, jealousy, and love collide next. I have to see what happens next to Aviva and Trisha.